thank you so much, Skip, for this very warm welcome. I'm really excited to be here today to talk a little bit about the next generation self-service and my experiences on this topic. We have had, specifically now in the times of COVID, a lot of inquiries and discussions about self-service, and the strategy and everything around it, has really changed because I mean, we have been talking about self-service for a long time, right, already in the past, but it has changed because of the digital focus on, and everything should be, real time, and everybody should be connected. This is really a strategy companies have, not this, island type of communication. So self-service also for customers and for employees, not just for consumers, but really also internally. The other thing is people are on mobile today, they have desktop browsers, so everything needs to be web-enabled. Communication is interactive, can be ad hoc or real-time, and specifically it's omni-channel today, and so things become more complicated, and specifically if the front end is not connected to the back end, that is really a difficulty, because then you have basically the chain broken, and things take longer to work on, and the information is not, all in one place. These interactive ways of communication have in the past been a lot of forms. We will look at that today as well, because from the typical PDF form today, we see a much bigger trend to the web form, really. And we will look into this, how customers use this and how you can get to migrate or to redesign, for the web. And last but not least, what is really important is that business can self-serve their needs. So it's not fast enough, and it's not very efficient to always have to go out, and have all these services done by a third party, but rather have a tool, a designer, or, a platform that allows you inside your organization, where people know what they want, where people know what they want to sell, how they want to communicate. Let them do it. And we will see options for this today as well. First of all, why is self-service so important? Because first of all, you can now share all the information with a customer, with a consumer, with an agent, internally with your employees. And you can have this done 24/7. So there's no more wait, the office is closed or whatever. Everything is done, at any point in time, and can be handled via multiple channels, and can be also very highly personalized in the sense of business, in the business context of a contract, or an e-document, an e-invoice, and also not only documents, but really also business that you do. So your business value streams. So basically business that you want to close, or offers that you want to make, or like we see here, there's a lot of different types of business our customers do now with a portal. But always, this is real time. This can be asynchronous, but it's a very connected experience. But it speeds up everything, it speeds up your business opportunities. It lets you close a business faster, and you get really also high value relationships with this form of interactivity. First of all, we should look at the automation, because self-service and a portal can be a very important automation perspective in many areas. So one area is the real-time automation. So when there is a web user who wants a specific service, who has a certain request that comes in through the portal and then comes into basically your backend server, and the server automatically, based on the request, fetches the data and immediately also creates the response to the web user. So we have then the PDF or the HTML going back in real time to the web user. So, and even if you're just saying, well, thank you for your request, we are handling it, if you do an automated response, and everything else, yeah? So I just hear here the network connection is not great, so I'm turning off my camera now. I hope it's better then. So really the automation part, we will see it not only on the process side, not only on the request side, but also in the communication, where we then of course want to have data that is available as metadata, and all of that should be something that the user doesn't need to take care about, but the user gets already that metadata that they need for the further processing here by the machine. But let's start out with looking at a real case here, a real implementation. So this is one of our clients that has done this very successfully, I have to say. Last year, they have implemented a full portal, a full self-service portal for their customers. And they start out actually when you have, this relationship with the utmost company, you'll get a two-factor authentication. This is of course fully supported, and the cool thing is as well, it can be on the mobile, it can be on a desktop, on a browser. It depends really how you want to log on and how you want to do business with this company. As you see here, drawdown plans, yeah, everything here is actually the self-service that can be provided, with software they have in use. They are totally self-sufficient with this. Their business users create all those templates that you see here. They define, all the different communication pieces as well. So they have their documents, their messages, all the details, all the data here, and everything else that they want to attach actually sometimes in a pension plan. We'll see that as well. So really, really a super nice way of servicing the client. And immediately when they went live last year, it was earlier, I think in August, September, they had a high number of their clients. I think already in the first week, there were 20,000 coming online. And by Christmas, they had a huge success and actually reported that this was their best, the glory, as their CEO said, to this year's implementations, and for customers, big positive experience, really a big, great customer experience here. So this is what I wanted to start out with, to see it's not something I'm talking about, that we haven't done or that I have not experienced, but there's lots of different things here that you can do, that you can enable your customers to do, or you're thinking about your agents, for example, or you're thinking about your employees. So this is not limited to a specific use case. This is a total generic way of actually implementing such a service for your clients. And when I say generic, I mean that the business and IT have the tools in their hands that they can really self-serve their needs. So without coding, there's no programming involved here. None of what you've seen is any programming related. But what they did is really, they used the design capabilities of a business enabled designer, meaning it's non-technical, but it's very powerful in what you can do, because you can create your forms and you can create your documents that you need to do business with, that in the self-service you probably want to sign electronically these documents and these forms. We'll see that a little bit later. The data capture, because your employees or your customers will upload forms, they will upload PDFs, they will upload maybe Word documents. And what you want is to capture the data from those documents and have that as metadata, and you can train the machine to do that. So very important, because of the uploads, that you have this automation there in your self-service. The other thing is the process design. Of course, every self-service has a certain process, even if you're just providing, the documents, and you let people respond on the documents in the portal, and you show them all their communication, you will have a process that you need to define, and that again is business enabled, and they can easily create all that, and also the content services. So in the document factory, you have all this content then together, and you can in the back office specifically see then the complete case and work with the case. Let's start out with the communication piece. very important. We start out with document design. So the business and IT together, you know, they now create in the designer, and here you see the UI, you can already immediately see it's not complex at all. It's very user-friendly. You have your document definition on the right-hand side. You have the building blocks that you create and that you assemble and that you then basically use across these kind of channels. So if it's now a print or a PDF, or for the self-service, maybe the portal that you need HTML for, then it is perfect because you can reuse all this in your different document templates, and you have basically one then for your nice email here as an HTML, for example, that scales to the size of the screen. The same possibly for the web, or maybe one or other building block less or more, but the same document could go out, you know, and be printed with an address building block, for example. So here, all is in one library. This is actually my message. Everything that you need is in a one library. On the right-hand side, you see that the layout elements, and can be used across, you know, all the channels from print to digital, and specifically for the self-service as well. Let's quickly have a look how this is done. So here we have then people who in Designer create these layouts. They have building blocks. You see one is an address building block, and then there is more address and company address building blocks. We want to actually place that well. You know, we can now go and say on the right hand side a certain position, fixed or relative positioning, or we can go and include building blocks here that we just drag around, yeah, as needed. So really drag and drop here in the document to really speed up all of this very fast way of working. And possibly I have a nice body for this letter as well. So here is a text that is for the representative. In my example, this is even a prompted text. Possibly the caseworker wants to send out via, you know, the portal and or per email a letter that is highly personalized and has a rule in there as well, which goes by the birth date. And if the birth date has a specific value here, we see this rule editing, then this building block, which is more information on marketing, should appear or not appear. Last but not least, we're gonna place now the signature building block. We have containers here for the signature, so you will never have a page break where part is on the next page or so. Everything is always together in one place, and the containers will make sure that if there is a page break, then it's going together with some extra text as well. So this was my starting point. Let's say we have templates we want to create for this self-service need. Then we have incoming mail, and I said already, well, I'm onboarding, I'm sending you a couple of things. Maybe I'm sending you my passport or my identity card, and I'm sending you all sorts of other document types and information and possibly emails. So at the end, you know, what you don't want to do is by hand go and look, oh, well, I need this metadata, I need that data for the next step in the process. You want a machine really to extract this data, as you see it here on the right-hand side, automatically, and make sure that you have all at the hand already. And maybe you want to correct something, or hopefully everything is anyway already there. So nothing for me to do, just continue my work here. And you need this also for the archive and for many other areas, for records management and so on. So this is the thing where we can get very automated, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to train the machine, and this is an example we have recently worked on, where this nice form here, you know, that is incoming needs to be, first of all, trained by a supervisor here in your company, let's say an analyst or someone who knows what they want, you know, someone who says, well, always when this form is coming, I definitely want the name extracted, and the name I find by a keyword. which is the name. Why do we do this supervised training? Because otherwise you need thousands of samples to load up somewhere, and you have AI and so on, but it will never be 100% perfect like here, where you have the supervised training with all these features, these cool features, very easy to handle. One single time I need to do this, and I can retrain as well. And then I just actually get this done by the machine. I don't need to do it again and over again. I just do it one time. And here you see a cool feature where I'm training here by these keywords. I'm having check boxes in this form that I want the machine to understand, and so on and so on. So on the right hand side, you see already, we have already quite some definitions there. We have custom elements, checkboxes, emails, handwritten, we see here as well. So all sorts of custom elements we can here address in a region beside a particular keyword, any place on the page, any same region, for example, and so on. Yeah. So very many nice, easy to use features for training. Now I press the train button and the machine will learn from me. And next time when the next one comes, of course, here we show it manually. If I press extract, I will get my data there. Yeah. And if I don't do this manually, of course, this is a batch process and all this data is easily extracted. We have a lot of free form today. Yeah. This might look more like a form, but I know that our customers have thousands of this, yeah. So I tried to show you this, and they also have actually handwritten stuff inside these forms, which here we also detect nicely with the machine, and we can nicely extract the data also here automatically, let the machine extract it, and this can be a very, very high also automation for the handwritten part, yeah. So this is the capturing of information, the classification of a certain document, but also then the capturing what is inside the document, all those data that we need for our self-service. So what do we want to deploy now as a value stream for self-service? And there are many value streams for self-service. You could onboard your employee, you could do recruitment, you could onboard your customer, you could handle a ticket, for example, you could manage projects, you could handle a claim. So there is tons of value streams that you could now get started with in deploying them. And first of all, creating now the process of this value stream, which is exactly also the deployment, because we only have one go, you know, one step here. So we have already defined some of the forms, maybe we have some documents. We also include those into the process. Here we see there is different steps of signing off and review steps here in the process. Again, this is in a designer that is absolutely not technical and has also the rules again, the rule engine that I can define for this process, all these rules that I need actually to automate maybe, or also to take ad hoc actions. Both is here possible. Let's have a look. I'm talking a lot, but I really want to show you how this can be done. Here we have a use case where someone needs to register, right? So the business administrator in your organization says, if someone, my employee or my customer wants to register, then I need following information from this person, and get started in the designer now to create those forms elements, right? We see here, he says, well, I need a name, a phone number, an email address. I need maybe also some nice radio buttons here, because the person should possibly have a choice and say yes or no, and I want a selfie, and so on and so on. So this is what he is doing, creating this and then simulating immediately, because I said, you know, we go immediately from design into a complete productive world. So we simulate now the form and the expressions of this form, and want to make sure, first of all, that all fields will be filled, are mandatory, and then possibly filled with the right numbers, you know, with the right pictures here. The phone number cannot look like that. The email address has to be done, entered in a certain form, you know. So only when we simulate, we see that this works well or not. And then we can say, yeah, good, this is fine or not fine. And so we can immediately test here in the simulation. This actually cuts down time a lot, you know, when I can work like this interactively and immediately test with my data, immediately also define my rules here, and then also, of course, test also all those rules as well, yeah. The phone number cannot be empty, the email also cannot be empty. So all of that your people can do. They don't need to explain this to anyone else. They can just do it whenever they have the job, you know, to be given, and they can self-serve all their needs. And if they need one field more, then they can just include one field more without waiting for another person to do it, or a service person to do it. Now we're gonna actually assemble what we did. We have the form, yeah, where this customer is supposed to enter his information, and then we link this form actually to the next step, yeah, which is actually my form for the selfie, yeah. So we're gonna have another task here, and the task is actually I should actually make a selfie, and if I don't, then I have to upload possibly by hand my passport or my identity card for this onboarding process. So here we see the rule now, yes or no, yeah, for this selfie activity. And I want to link also this to the back office immediately, because onboarding is probably not automated, but it is then going to the back office. And in the back office, these people will now review all the information, yeah, verifying the user, and also actually possibly sending an information to the user saying, thank you for, you know, coming online, for actually, signing up with us, and we are handling your request in a very fast way, for example. So I can immediately also automate this kind of communication, and I can link specific documents to it. You see, I can immediately also say, I want a highly personalized business document, then with the data that this customer has actually uploaded in his form, and the business letter will be highly personalized and then sent out per email, right? So the business administrator's work is done. He's finished, yeah? He has done it not as a flow chart, he has done it as an application. Let's look how this now works for me if I wanna onboard. I'm now coming to the web portal, I find the form of this company, and I'm gonna, as I'm a new client, I have to actually fill out all this data. If I was an existing client, I wouldn't need to do that, because these forms can be automatically filled in the self-service. I would probably only need to fill those fields where no data yet is available. I also upload my selfie, okay? I do as they say, and I complete this. And now we are already at the supervisor workplace. And the supervisor in your company, because the front end is connected with the back end, she gets this job now in her inbox for checking if everything is good. And she looks at all the details, and she can see that she's not totally happy with this process. She really misses a document, a passport, if the selfie is not good enough. And what does she do? She reaches out to this person onboarding and asks for a chat interaction. So this is where also in the self-service, you know, digital, the omnichannel here comes into place, and asks now for this legal document that is missing for this onboarding process. So now we have here the customer, very friendly, uploading now the legal document for the supervisor. The supervisor got it all in his inbox and can now look at the document, is happy with it, and can now vote that this can be approved, and all is done. The content here, the letter, is being sent to the client. So here we have the document design again. It's been sent to the client by email, and confirmed. Yeah. So what I'm trying to show you in this complete process of onboarding and self-service mixed with certain activity, we can really do a fast step forward, you know, with creating these kind of value streams, but also a fast step forward in servicing the client. Yeah, so it's a much more direct way of communication. It's a much more highly customer experienced, focused way. Yeah, and as I said, it doesn't have to be only customers. It could also be employee. Here we see a more internal application. But what is the special thing here is that typically our clients have thousands of forms, either printed or in PDF. And they need these forms for the web because there are plugin issues today with PDFs. They're print. We should actually move to digital. And here we see an example how that could work now. If you're thinking about migrating and really getting the best, you know, for this service from you out to your clients or your employees. You see what we did with these forms is actually building blocks again, like always in documents. So each form part is the building block, and you have areas that are manually filled and areas that are automatically filled. So with the business designer, we created these forms, but then the filling can come from a web service or can be also manually or mixed, depending on what is really defined here as the process. So what we saw also before already is that this process is the workflow that is the key here, that the first step for the basic data possibly is totally pre-filled or is totally manually. The second one is possibly coming from your backend application. Then the next info is coming from the user and is manually filled. At the end, I do get the complete visibility of my document again. I'm just not filling the document, I'm filling the web forms. I'm composing then the document here in the machine and actually can sign it here digitally with a hieroglyph, or I can go and use my digital certificate for signing. So let's look how this works. If you now put this into your portal, you deploy it. Yeah, so we have here the self-services, and we're gonna deploy here this registration form that we just saw. And we'll see that the web services, a REST interface, for example, has already pre-filled the form. Then there is the third part of this form that is filled by the user, by maybe someone internally or wherever, an agent. And then when this is done, basically the contract or the request is formalized. Everything is there in the PDF, and now I'm gonna sign it here as just a normal signature or with a certificate, as I said before. You could also use blockchain here if that's what you would prefer. Yeah, but we see here the complete process of those forms and those building blocks that are needed for this request. So what did we do? This use case really went, yeah, from the request to the closure, right? And it was all connected, and it was all going basically at one end, you know, someone requesting, but possibly someone else is not accepting the request and asks for more information, and can do all this without emailing around. Yeah, that's another thing. We have here really the possibility to completely digitally communicate with different steps in the process and different specifically participants here that can be sitting inside and outside your organization. There could be different people being part of it and connected with this process, and they all do their job. They all have the real related information. There are certainly rules that fire. There's certain, you know, compliance that need to be handled. But this is what you can set up very quickly for many, many of your value streams that you have in your organization. I want to show you one out of the practical experience, which we have been using and working on also with the client, where there is really the use case, just a simple use case. You would think of a training request, but it's not so simple when you look at it. You know, in their case, there's a supervisor first line, a second line, a training officer, agencies, and they all need to go into the approval step. And of course, the training has a cost to it, and so on and so on. Let's have a quick look how we can have this person self-serve the needs that they have for this training request. Yeah, so there's a portal, the self-service portal for this organization, and there is the section A, the trainee information. You see here, part of this is filled out because the trainee has stated, so the web services have filled the form already pre-filled, and the trainee now just needs to complete, you know, those other questions where the data is not yet available, right? So these forms, as we saw before, were designed and were made ready for all of these services and all these boxes that you see here that you pick and choose from, and the section B training. So this is someone else, right? We had seen different actors and different roles here being involved in such a request, handling the request and completing the request. So here we have also always the option that you could link to services in the back. If you have services that would pre-fill this, well, let's use the service, yeah? Cost, for example, could be automatically calculated and filled in here, yeah? So there's, of course, many options here and capabilities, and you might have different ones, but the key is that this is generic, you know, you have to not to worry about, I can't do this or that. You set it up the way you specifically need it and based on the services that you need. Here we have now the finished document, and this is quite a complex document that is submitted now and was also signed. And I want to show you the signature page because it doesn't show very well in the demo. Here we see that actually everything is here in this envelope, and basically different people had to sign it, and the signature has to be also validated, is validated by the software. Yeah, so we guarantee here this is the original certificate that this user has. It's his or her signature here, right? So it goes all the way to self-service. It's not just the front PDF, as I said at the beginning. It's really everything end to end. The workflow is the different types of work, and it includes the caseworker. The caseworker in this DocuFlow, as our product is called here, uses now or sees now this SF182 form that we had before for the training, and has all the details as whatever happened here, whatever section A, B, C did, and all the other details at hand, and can review, will also be able to open now this request, you know, the signed form, also the signature here, as we see, is available here to review, and can of course also see other things if they are allowed to. The whole process that was actually handled here, the automation, all the different tasks and activities, and the timeline. Yeah, and the timeline. Who did what, when, how long did it take? And you could really handle here also bottlenecks if you see that this is, yeah, there's somewhere an area that you can improve. Yeah, this goes front office, connected back office, the caseworker, and actually completing the work at the end. So why were these people so empowered? On one hand, they had, of course, the designer to create all this, and then it's immediately executable, but they also had all content at their fingertips. Remember, we had everything immediately accessible by specific people with specific role, policies, and privileges. So everything is actually authorized by the security profiles or skill profiles they have. They can create content which stays in one library, right? They can have content reviewed and maybe edited or redlined or whatever, you know, because they want to be also able then to deliver it, and it should be possible to share this content with other people, but only with certain people, not with everyone. So we had that in place there. The sharing part, the governance, very important, all the compliance here that needs to be handled is something in this platform that gives you this kind of capability and also lets you retrieve and look at documents or look at the complete case, because it's not only that we look at documents here, we look at the complete process. You saw me looking at every step of the process, all the tasks, all the rules, the activities, all the content that was incoming, all the content that was outgoing. This was only possible, the sharing and everything was only possible because automatically we collected everything inside a web archive. So here, this training request case is a case and is inside the archive. It was opened and closed when it was done and could be opened again 2 years later. But inside the case, I have, of course, emails, or even outside if I have just a file format here. But all these communication pieces, the processes, and also the videos and audio and the chat, everything is inside here, the archive for an archive at work. So why is this so important? Because what you have today and what you should look into specifically is this digital workplace. Definitely very, very important for a very powerful way of working, in the sense to have my information, you know, whoever I am, you know, I can now see my chats, I can work with my tasks, I can see my recent files, I can work with these spaces actually in my UI and find everything that I need to find in one place. I don't need to go anywhere and search around in 7 systems, because everything that is my work and everything that is valid right now that I should work on, I can efficiently do without wasting so much time in searching and looking and not knowing what to do. The system can guide you also through all these activities as a user-trained agent, for example, but this is already far ahead now. We talk here really about the self-service and the service that the self-service person expects, you know, to get from also a person who works inside your organization. Why is this now important? What is really the impact? You will have better and much better, I would say, customer experience this way, much better, because it will be faster, it will be personalized, it will be exactly what they have asked for that you have handled. You will be very efficient and effective. You can allow them to work with you on a channel of their choice, and you can have the work, you know, and everything, the content is accessible by the people who need to do this, you know, who need to help the clients, and the clients can help themselves really, yeah, by finding the information they are looking for and not having to call or send emails, and nobody knows if these emails have come, have arrived, and so on. So the communication line is open, access to business talk. It's actually low effort to implement this, really low, and brings such high quality. Think about it. Yeah, there's lots of good things here that you can provide, you know, to your organization, and specifically also for customer experience. And as Utmost is doing, I mean, it's very impressive. I mean, they have the whole business on the portal, and all these different value streams, the sales part, even the services, all the different communication, the closed loop communication. If I want to send a return or a response message, I can do all that, and everything is real time and online. And so a lot of good things here with this portal and self-service opportunity. Of course, you will ask yourself, well, nice to have, but how do I get my data into this self-service portal? Actually, I mentioned it a couple of times already. I spoke about web services and REST interfaces, and in the front, you know, you have here a lot of different interfaces. Don't worry. We offer this because every customer needs something different. But what I wanted to show you today is just one example of an interface, because it comes up so often. Besides the ServiceNow or the Guidewire or SAP, we have also Salesforce, and we loosely couple with all these software that you might be using, CRM, ERP software. And here what I want to show you is one nice integration with the UI itself. Yeah, so we are now here in Salesforce itself, and we can now go and have a new document written inside. But the point is, Papyrus has opened. Yeah, so it's from Salesforce. We open Papyrus, so now the user can now, well, have all sorts of work that they need to do. As you see here, they can write very interactively now in this document because it's a prompt here. The rest is already predefined. I can't touch it, but here I can do a lot of things, that whatever I want to do. I have a complete text editor, like I know from Microsoft Word, very easy to use, and so I can actually go and also include here a couple of other things, variables, for example. Let's see what that does. But I could also include pictures, and I could have different building blocks to pull from. But here we go for the variable. We put one of these names inside here and nicely place everything. So anything and everything you want to allow here for a clerk to do, they can do. And they can have this total interactivity with the predefined document and can pick and choose, you know, content, tables, text, whatever it is that the business administrator has defined. And all within SAP or all within MS Dynamics, for example, is also very common. As I said, this here is Salesforce as a front-end integration. But what you see here is Papyrus client, the web client, yeah, where we can have all this text editing and everything done. Last but not least, here we have a few more fields to fill, but it's almost finished. We're gonna also add here a little nice table feature, a few points, so it's easier readable. So a lot of capabilities for the clerk, and they will be happy to know that this is possible from the Salesforce, and this is possible then also to see. You see, we opened again inside Salesforce the document, and we have here the complete all entries and the completely formatted business document in there. Any document, yeah, this is just one example here that I wanted to show you that you see interactive type of communication is possible. Yeah, and I'd like to complete with giving you some thoughts for your homework, because there are lots of business value streams that the business would like to have for self-service. But we often don't think this way, you know, we implement a lot of point solutions because it's quick and dirty, but at the end it haunts you. Yeah, because it's not integrated, it's difficult to manage, it's difficult to update. But if you are if you have a tool, yeah, in possession that allows you to do this quickly yourself without going out and ask for this, and if you have it all integrated with process, data, content, and tasks and activities, you can very quickly define these value streams and create a self-service out of it. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be self-service, but I think self-service is cool. It brings so many good benefits for everybody, and so it's worthwhile to think about it. Yeah, and if you want to discuss this with me, and maybe you have another opinion or you have good input for me or so, I would love to talk to you and would be very pleased if you contact me, and well, maybe we touch base and we learn from each other. Thank you very much.